Welcome to the Current Conversations podcast, a production of Gloucester County's Community Engagement and Public Information Department. I'm your host, Savannah, and today we're having our Back to School special podcast with the division's superintendent, Dr. Vladu. So how are you doing today?
It's a great day.
It is a great day. Normally, I start folks with an icebreaker so that they can get to know you a little better.
Yeah.
You've been on a couple times, so I'm going to try something more theoretical. If you were going to GHS this year, which class would you be most excited to sign up for?
Great question. We have such amazing programs, but I've always been a hands-on person. I tend to do things that would probably be culinary.
Really?
And here's why. They've revamped all of that location, that classroom, the culinary classroom and the program. There's a pizza oven in there.
Oh.
A lot of saucepans, several other ovens. And I think culinary is one of those skills that regardless whether you go to become a chef or a restaurant owner, what a greater gift than to be able to cook for yourself and for your family and the people you love, for your friends. So that is a lifelong skill regardless of how where you end up in life.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, I could have certainly taken some lessons when I was in school. I kind of thought you were going to say shop. I know you like to work on your cars.
Well, I was thinking about that. The shop, that area was also redone. Addition of some windows. Painting on not painting the areas. Probably in the future, maybe we're putting some welding stations in there. I know when you work on metal on a car, it's a pretty good thing to be able to weld and put two pieces of metal together. And then also the carpentry or the construction area. So. I mean, in that order, but I would say I like to eat the most, and I do it every day, so that's why. But second would have been probably automotive, third would have been construction.
All good options. Yeah. Oh, man. Okay, so we're right here on the edge of August, and we're looking to a great school year coming up. I know that one of the things happening this year is that construction is wrapped up at the high school after a major few changes.
Well, it took so many people to get here from, ramping up for financing and finding the funds in this community came through to renovate the high school. And it's a complete renovation, in-house reservation. Every area of the building has been touched, including the addition of several classrooms to anticipate, maybe one day we will grow. Maybe not in the next several years, but one day we will grow. So a lot of people, I would say the entire community deserves a big hand of applause and a huge debt of gratitude because even if you don't have kids in school, it is a one high school kind of town. And that's pretty special. On Friday night, you get 2,000 people in there. And in Gloucester, if you live here, you graduated from that one school. So great source of community pride. And so that moves on to the 3 years of construction. Our students and staff have been dealt with a hand, but they made the best situation. For a matter of scale, at any given time, 1/3 of the building was rotating through the trailers. And teachers moved at least 3 times. Some of them 4, 5, 6, 7 times. And I've never seen such a gracious group of people to move so many times. But here's the most wonderful part of this. While this is all happening for the past 3 years, we also saw unprecedented gains in student achievement. Record high graduation rates, English, math, social studies, about science, every single metric, dual enrollment, you name it, that's all going up over the past 3 years. So to go through a major renovation, but most importantly, to move the ball forward for students, I couldn't be more proud of this community.
I think it's just amazing. I've been in a couple times. I graduated from there in 2015. And I don't know my way around anymore. But that's a good thing. It's nice to have fresh, new facilities for kids. And, I don't obviously have high school age children, but it benefits us all to have an educated youth coming into the workforce and to give them the best chances to enter society with the tools they need. It's great to see.
And that's why I think Gloucester is ahead of many other school districts. I think if you're not from Gloucester, you realize that this is a wonderful place because we kept shop. Some of us that are very old now grew up with shop classes. Well, Gloucester made some great decisions in the past in keeping those classes. And we almost have a full CTE program, almost every career strand. I mean, we still need to expand several other courses, but it's not a major expansion. I think with possible in the future addition of HVAC, possible addition of plumbing, also thinking about electrician. I think, our goal is to have a full CTE program because this community sort of takes care of itself, and there are jobs here that we need to fill with people that graduate from Gloucester High School. So it's really, really exciting. And there's just been this foresight in this community to keep those classes.
I would agree. I remember the last meeting we were in together, you mentioned that there's a new position that helps special needs students in particular find employment. What's the deal with that?
Yeah, I know when we talked last time is how do we get students with disabilities to find meaningful employment right here in our community? So we're thinking about the programs we already have at the high school, like the code closet, also some transition skills within the school. But our next step beginning this year actually to hire for a transition specialist. So this is a person whose job description is actually to integrate workplace skills between what happens at the high school and the community. Because we want to expose students with disabilities to all of the 17 career strand first. And second, what do they fall in love with? It may be that I want to work for this company because I really love the routine tasks, and that really what drives me. I know what I'm doing, I know what the expectations, and this type of work brings me meaning in my life, and also the sustainability. Students with disabilities need a way to be able to live rich lives, and that comes part of that life is to be able to have employment. We know that all of our lives that brings us fulfillment and being able to sustain ourselves. And I know parents will be relieved to know that their students who had to overcome challenges now have meaningful employment in the community. So by the time this podcast airs, we will have had a position, this transition specialist. And then the challenge to this business community is to give our students with disability a chance. First, allow us to come in to learn about whatever your craft is. And second, allow students to come in and actually work for you, to see what the business is about. And then third, maybe to hire them. And that I'm just looking forward to that kind of work because I believe that's what education is all about.
I've heard you talk about trying to integrate our local businesses more with our high school students across the board, and trying to foster relationships that are sort of like internships. Is that one of our goals this coming year?
It is. We have Mr. Sheck at the high school who's just coming off a employment boot camp. I think we had 12 to 14 kids that participated in there, and the Gazette did a great job on reporting on that summer program and how our students work with businesses such as Gloucester Toyota and several others, right? And that boot camp is to give them employability skills. So those students now are ready to work, but we want to expand that. So how do we create meaningful partnerships with, I would want to do all of the businesses, but we want to make sure it's a good fit for both of us. And that work is continuing. I think the goal for this year is actually to have a marketplace. When I mean about a marketplace, if I'm a business and I know I'll need some volunteers, then where do I go? I'm a business and I know I need some students to look up some of my part-time work. I need 5 part-time employees. Well, where do I post those? So to have a marketplace, web-based marketplace that ties school counseling and Mr. Sheck, the career coach at Gloucester High, so it facilitates communication. Guest speakers, for instance, if I want to have I'm a teacher and I want to have a guest speaker on mechatronics or on data. And then I can come into a classroom as a business person and give us, a spiel about what my business is like so students are interested. So we need to facilitate those conversations. So the goal is to get that marketplace up and started this school year.
I think that's a really smart idea. Oh, man. We've been talking a lot about the high school, but I don't want to pigeonhole you there. I know we've got all levels of students here. What are your goals for academic achievement in the upcoming year?
Well, I'll go back to our strategic plan. Our number one goal is to get students to gain the skills needed to be successful after high school. Take our graduating class that's, we have a summer graduation, 8 students tomorrow. Aww. And on top of the ones that graduated back on June 7th. we just had a meeting where this is the highest graduation rate as long as graduation rates have been recorded, and that is due to the students, the staff, and everybody working together to be ready. So our goal is to look at those graduates. Well, what did it take to get there? Well, it really starts in elementary school. Reading skills and math skills, that's essential. It opens up the world. Math is a language. And so a language for understanding the world around you. So we need to start early on, giving students and improving on our students' math skills. But also start early with reading skills and integrate the science of reading and reading comprehension very, very early on. Or those two skills unlock the whole world. And so if we could focus that on early, and then as students grow up, really elaborate and go in different directions and provide more opportunities. So that would be the goal, is to improve reading achievement and math achievement, but begin very, very early on. The other aspect is the student voice. Students need to feel heard. And so I was so happy this year to be able to hold listening sessions with students at every school. And kids say the darnest things. We found out that some of our schools didn't have basketball hoops. Some of our students wanted the more this type of food. For instance, they didn't like chicken with bone in. All right, well, let's give that to the high school. But what they said about learning is, we like learning when it's interactive. We like to work in groups. We like to learn from one another. Sitting in rows and just listening for 45 minutes, not the best instructional strategy. But working in groups, having direct instruction, and engaging students in what really, really matters, that's what they love doing. So we learn from kids about what works best from them. So that's what we want to do, focus on the fundamentals. And that way, when they come to middle school and high school, they're ready for all these opportunities.
That's amazing. One of those things, when you talk about student voice, I've recently been hearing a lot about the leadership class at Gloucester High School and what a difference that's been making. Have you popped in to visit them?
Well, several times this year, and the graduation speech is actually based on student voice. And the theme was very important for me because I flipped the script. We learn from you. And what we learned from this graduating class and for students is that they cared about each other, right? The culture, they clap for one another. At graduation, now where do you see that where the kids are clapping? It wasn't the audience, it was students clapping for their peers. So that's something that should have been probably on the Today Show. Because I've been doing graduation 25 times. I'm a secondary person. I haven't seen it like that where students are supporting one another. So the student culture and the work that the student leadership is doing at the high school, but it's gone way past the leadership. It's almost every student is buying into the fact that we're a family and we're all in this together. And it shows up in like the graduation rate. It shows up in achievement, but also just the positive climate that's there. So if you haven't been at the high school, it is a place of positivity and just goodwill that I haven't seen in my career.
Yeah. So if you guys are listening at home and you haven't, been in to see this class, it was a club, it turned into a class, and it's students who are taking initiative to make the culture the best it can be at Gloucester High School. And they do things like Mondays, these class members will go to the bus loops and cheer people on as they get off the buses, and they plan pep rallies, and they organize service projects, and they're trying to expand. So my team, community engagement and public information, we've got the school coordinators. This class is going to work with us to get leadership activities that are similar in the middle schools and maybe even elementary eventually. So it's just like everything funneling up. People are ready for this leadership challenge, and they're ready to support each other. It's really sweet.
It is what warms my heart, and I hope all this community, when we have young men and young women celebrate 1600th birthday. This past year, we graduated a young lady who took it upon herself to find out whose birthday it was each day.
Oh.
And then surprise them with something.
Oh my gosh, that's sweet.
So there's so many things that are happening like that, or the raising of money. We're tens of thousands of dollars to support, pet shelters and victims of the hurricane or all of these floods that were happening out west. And it doesn't stop there. It just goes on. And these are all student initiated. I would say that this is probably more important than learning anything else in school, just to be kind and to be a good human being.
Absolutely. On that note, I know that you're big on family engagement at the schools. Do you have family engagement goals this coming year?
A couple. So the first one is we're fielding the Let's Talk platform. So oftentimes we know that sometimes an email will go to, let's say it comes to central office and you'll hear back, but it may take 2, 3, 4 days. We're trying to close that time out. Also, we're trying to close loop communication. In other words, that every email requires a response and do that within 48 business hours. So Let's Talk Communication started here back in January at the district level, and we did a great job at actually looks at customer service, and we get an indicator. But now we're expanding that Let's Talk Communication to all of our schools. So a parent can go into Let's Talk. If they want to leave an anonymous comment, they can. That's another way to receive feedback. But once it goes into Let's Talk, then there's a time that starts, a clock getting us to respond within 48 hours to those requests, because we know parents are busy, but we also know educators are busy. And the last thing we want is to let anything fall to the cracks. So I'm really excited about it. They'll give us feedback on an ongoing basis and expanding that. The other part is I'll reach out to parents about these messages that are going out from the district and from schools. Folks may not know this, but if the information is not accurate in PowerSchool, then you're not going to receive these messages. So, for instance, anytime I send an email out, the response rate or the delivery rate is about 80%. Well, that means that 2 out of every 10 people are not getting the message. If it's a text message, because of this opt-in, opt-out, only about 15 to 20% of people are receiving text messages.
Oh, no.
So imagine this, you're at work, and let's say we have to go in secure mode for something that's happening in the community. Well, if we're sending those text messages and only a quarter of the people receive them, then it creates this context where people feel that they're getting information and some other people feel that they're not.
It can create panic.
Yeah, absolutely, and we need to be one family about how do we get folks to opt into these things and what do we need to do on our end. So those are the 2 areas I'm going to focus on this year.
I mean, more communication is better. Okay, one of the things coming up this year, I know that we're focusing on federal aid cards and why it's important to know which of our GCPS families are military families. You're a military guy. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Certainly. So having served in the United States Army, we recognize the military lifestyle. It's a service not just for the servicemen or servicewomen, but for the entire family. And when you're a family, you serve. And I know military families have specific needs. And we also know that folks that are connected to the military also live a sort of a different lifestyle. So the federal government allows and actually provides this provision that if you're military connected, that the federal government will help fund the school division in some way. And it may be that you're active duty, there's a proportion. If you're reserve or if you're military connected, there's another proportion. When we think about all of the budget challenges that our schools are having, that having to think about every position, having to think about fees, all of that funding goes here to support public education. Well, the federal government has a responsibility to fund education, and they do a great job through the Title 1, 2, 3, 4, and then sometimes 6 for special education. But we also need to capture all the federal impact aid, because there's a reason why Congress appropriated that funding to school districts, because they are being impacted, and that better allows us to serve our military populations, but all students. I'll give you one example. All of our schools are Purple Star. In Gloucester County, approximately 12% of all students are military connected.
Wow, that's a pretty big percentage.
Oh, it's a bit. I was surprised when I looked at the numbers that if 1 out of every 8 students, mom or dad, is serving in the military in some way or fashion. So we need to do a better job in getting cards in the hand of every student. And if you're not military connected in any way, then you just say no. But if you are military connected, then you just fill out your information. That allows the school district to get the resources it needs to serve all students. So I'm really looking forward in improving that process, because it is related to funding and it will help us maintain some of the wonderful programs that we discussed, like CTE, mathematics instruction, language instruction, and everything else that's important in serving our needs.
I mean, if the money is there and it's meant for us, we should be filling out the cards and getting it.
Yeah, and I know our community is going to step up, and I know our military community will step up as well. And it's something that everyone in this country does. This is not unique to Gloucester. Having worked in another high military population district, it's something that happens every year. Our families get used to it, and it really will help the school division get the resources it needs.
So when we're talking about resources and budget challenges, I know this year we're switching how free and reduced lunches work.
Yeah.
Can you talk to me about what the changes are and how someone can go about applying if they might need a waiver?
So this year, we are moving away from CEP. Just a short background on CEP. Beginning in 22-23, we have 5 schools where if we have a certain population that qualifies for free and reduced lunch, then the federal government and state funding will pick up the rest to ensure that every family receives a free meal. And then it was expanded in 24-25 to the remaining 3 schools. The program was not sustainable. We ended up having shortages every single month during the COVID time. Schools received extra funding in food service, and that helped build our reserves. Mm-hmm. Well, over a period of time, with the free lunches and the CEP, we have brought those reserves almost to zero. And so now we're returning to a paid model, but here's where our responsibility is. And I want to go back a little bit. I was a student who my family qualified for free and reduced lunch in high school. My parents are immigrants. They didn't have a lot of money, but they never filled out the forms.
Was it like family pride?
It is. And I know a lot of our families here in Gloucester, they're too proud to accept something. But I would say, had somebody come to me and say, "Oh, here's the form, and can you please have mom and dad fill it out?" I would have done it. So that's what we need to do, is that to reach out to families and say, please complete the form, whether you think you qualify or don't qualify. So educators have a responsibility now to make sure that we go to every family to complete the form. So we'll look forward to actually being in front of Walmart, in front of Food Line at the Point, at back to school events, that we want every child to have that form and to complete that form. I also want to make sure that parents understand that we do have an entire month to get this done. But the sooner we start, the better it is, because, sometimes with forms, we got to process them. We're processing them as soon as possible. Mm-hmm. But there's going to be quite a bit of continued communication about how to get all of the students that qualify to actually claim the free or reduced lunch benefit that they need.
I think it's really important that the students we have in our schools are fed so that they can focus, because if you're so hungry that you can't absorb the material that the teachers are giving you, your future is impacted directly.
Yeah, and nobody learns on an empty stomach. And having taught at high poverty, free and reduced lunch, I taught in schools as much as 80%. And as a teacher, I always had some candy bars, maybe candy bars were not as nutritious in retrospect now, but at least some breakfast bars. Last thing, you're trying to teach math, social studies, English, science, and a child's stomach is growling. So we have been through this before, and we want to make sure now we expand sort of the people that qualify should be able to get that form into their hand. We need to be chasing those forms as well. We need parents to do their part, but educators also need to complete this. When I say complete, give the students the form and have mom and dad sign it and bring it back.
Explain
but we need to explain what it is, initiate that contact, and reach out to everyone to make sure that the students get that food. But yeah, you're right. First thing, you got to bring kids to school. Transportation is important. Second, they got to be able to have a full stomach in order to learn. So we don't disconnect that from the learning process.
Absolutely. Yeah. So where will you be on the first day of school?
So first day of school, this will be my third start of school here in Gloucester. I want to be on a school bus. So usually starts at 5:50, 6 a.m. and doing the pre-service check on that bus. School bus driver will pull the hood up and check all of the fluids, all of the lights, and then we'll hit the road a little bit after 6 and pick up the first student sometime around 6:10 or something like that. This would be our secondary students. And then want to finish the day exactly the same way on the school bus. And it's really exciting to see students look forward to seeing their bus drivers again and how much care they take in welcoming them. And then for students to see each other, to see how much joy there is and excitement. Now, granted, not every face is a smiley face on the first day, particularly the older kids, but that's where I look forward to being. Start the day on the school bus and end it on the school bus.
I love the pictures from my friends when they'll post their kids before they get on the bus and they're all fresh and they've got their new backpack and they're, everything's clean. And then you pick them up and their hair is crazy and they're covered in dirt and they've lost their lunchbox.
I love those pictures as well. It reminds me of my two girls where you drop them off and they, they're used to taking naps when they want to or having their own schedules. So, but at the same token, they grow over a period of several months, and you see them in the spring as it's 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and they're just as energetic as ever. But it's a great reminder for parents. I think we still have a few days before school starts. Few weeks actually, and to start working on those routines, trying to extend the day, wake up a little earlier, and everything will come into place. But it is a lot of fun, and I hope parents post those pictures. They're just a lot of fun to watch.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, any parting messages?
Just one. On August 1st, I would have been here 2 years, and I believe tomorrow is the last day, at least work day before August 1st. And I couldn't be more humble because this community has welcomed me in every single way that I could be welcomed here. Even though I spent most of my career across the bridge, just in Yorktown and Newport News, Gloucester is a special place. It's a much closer place, much more tighter knit. But over the past 2 years, I've been humbled, I've been excited. In some ways, I had to learn myself about how to lead and how to be an effective leader in this community. But I'm coming up into 2 years, and I want to thank all teachers, all staff, everyone in GCPS, but everyone in the greater community for giving me this opportunity to lead. I'm humbled. I think leadership is not about any one person. It's about being there for people and about making the sacrifices necessary to serve students. And that's what this is all about. So thank you, Gloucester.
Well, thank you so much for talking to me today. Everyone have a great school year, and we'll talk later.